Joined now by Yuriy Sak. He's an advisor to the Ukrainian defense minister and joins me now from Kyiv. Good to have you with us, sir. We just heard in that report from the Ukrainian defense ministry, you are outgunned and you are outmanned. Is Donbas lost?
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me. Donbas is not lost. The fighting continues. It is very intense fighting. It is very dynamic fighting. And of course, we are outnumbered. And of course, the Russian aggressor has superiority when it comes to heavy artillery. They are literally barraging the cities and villages of Lugansk region, as well as Donetsk region, with a view to destroying them. But for the time being, Ukrainian armed forces continue to control a part of Sievierodonetsk, and of course Ukrainian forces are in other parts of Donbas as well.
But given the scene there, as you've described, the intense fighting, there must be immense civilian suffering. We're seeing this in the images. Does Ukraine have a plan to try to save and prevent some of the civilian suffering we've seen other places in Ukraine from happening again in Sievierodonetsk?
For Ukraine, human life has always been a top priority. And of course, we are doing everything we can to alleviate the suffering and to help our peaceful citizens in those areas which are now struck by the aggressor. At the same time, Ukraine has to defend itself. We cannot give our land to the aggressor without resistance. So from this perspective, we will continue. This is what we have said from the very first day of this aggressive war against Ukraine. We have a constitutional duty to defend our territory, to restore our territorial integrity. And the only thing that we need now, actually, is more heavy weaponry from our international partners. Because if we receive it on time, there will be less suffering. Had we received it before, there would have been less suffering of civilians as well, because we would be able to repel the Russian aggressor more efficiently, and we would not allow Russian aggressor, who is shooting missiles at residential areas, destroying peaceful villages. So the suffering is brought on Ukraine by the Russian aggressor.
Let's talk a little bit more about the supplies and the weapons from your Western partners, because there's some confusion here in Germany about just what kind of weapons and how many and how quickly they're getting to you in Ukraine. From your perspective, what is the situation of the supply of weapons to your soldiers on the front?
Every single item that Ukrainian armed forces receive from our international partners as military assistance goes straight to the battlefield and is efficiently used on the battlefield. We have shown time and again that Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian warriors, are learning very fast to use these new types of weaponry, and they are using it very efficiently to protect Ukrainian cities and to repel the enemy. Now, our Minister of Defense, Mr. Oleksii Reznikov, has already said a few days ago that over 150, for example, over 150 heavy cannons of 155th caliber are already deployed at the front line, those that we have received from the West, and are being used very efficiently. At the same time, we keep saying on a daily basis that Ukraine needs more heavy weaponry, because if you look at the ratio of what amount of shelling we receive from the aggressor, it's absolutely disproportionate. Because on average, Russians are shooting around 50,000 rounds a day. Now, this is a lot of ammunition, and this, of course, raises cities to the ground, okay? It's indiscriminate. They're shooting schools, hospitals, residential areas. So we have received some military assistance. We are grateful for it, but we need more, and we need it fast. In particular, the MLRS systems, long-range rocket systems.
We're going to have to leave it there with Yuriy Sak, an advisor to the Ukrainian defense minister. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you.